Right, we are live.
Yay, we are live.
It's already been 7 days.
It has been.
It doesn't, gosh, they say time flies the older you get.
I want to go with time flies when you're having fun. So let's just say we have been having fun.
So we had 7 days of a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. Yes.
Okay, so I'm Dr. Charli, the book mama.
And I'm Stephanie Palmer, the grammar queen.
And we're here for some writer's therapy.
Yes.
All right, so we want to encourage everybody today. Leave us some likes, some tags, send questions. Share it. Absolutely, share it. Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
Talking about writer's block.
Oh yeah, I had a moment. I forgot. I was stuck.
Brain fog. You're so goofy.
I planned that. I am, y'all. I'm a goofball. Yes. Okay. So we're talking about writer's block.
Yes.
Have you ever had writer's block?
Absolutely.
Me too.
Yeah. Yes.
It sucks.
It does.
It's not my happy place.
It's not.
No. So what do you call writer's block? Like, how would you define it?
Well, I am going to define it.
Turn the tables on you.
You did. Look, see, these surprises. Because you were supposed to share that. So for me, writer's block is just, I guess stumbling over your words, kind of like what I'm doing right now, not being able to clearly think about your thoughts and get them from your head to the paper. It's
really like mental and creative shutdown.
Yes, absolutely.
Is it common?
I would say it is. Well, especially from the authors that we have that share that they're experiencing writer's block, and that's why they haven't turned in.
Absolutely. There's a ton of writers, both famous and common everyday writers, that have written. They've been interviewed about. Because I actually did some research on this.
Of course you did.
Because I'm Dr. Charli, the book mama, and that's what I do. But there's a significant problem in the field of writing, whether you're writing magazines for magazine articles, whether you're writing blogs, whether you're writing books. I mean, there's a large range of writing, and even when I used to be a technical writer, and I remember getting writer's block as a technical writer because I used to write about computers, right? There's only so many creative ways you can talk about a piece of computer hardware. After a while, it just sounds like a boring piece of computer hardware. It's not exciting anymore.
No,
and so you kind of get that mental block. You're like, I cannot even think of another way to describe this. So it happens. It's really common.
Yeah.
So, in fact, you shared a statistic with me earlier about the discovery of writer's block.
Upon my research, look, she's rubbing off on me, y'all. Started researching. So the concept of writer's block originated in the early 19th century because English poet Samuel Taylor, and I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name. You can check my notes if you would like to take a stab at it.
Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
There you go. I will let her have it.
Yeah.
He described his indescribable terror at not being able to produce what he thought was worthy of his talent. So he just basically came up with that. Later on, psychologist Edmund Berger coined the term writer's block in the 1940s. So that's kind of where now everybody has that to fall back on when they're not getting their manuscripts turned in. So
yeah. And, so I also learned that, and I felt a little out of the loop here because when I did my research, I learned that big authors like the big time, I thought we were big time, but
not yet. Hey, we're getting there.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
They call it the block.
Okay.
So if you want to be big time, you need to learn that. The block.
Yes.
It's not writer's block. It's assumed that you are a writer. You call it the block. So you kind of have to have that air, I think, to say it, the block. So, but you stretch yourself and you stretch. You know what? We forgot something.
What did we forget?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So
had block again. Did you have the block?
I had the block.
Yeah.
So we were actually going to dedicate our segment today to somebody because we were talking about stretching.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody has stretched us. Did she
Yes.
stretch you?
She did.
She stretched me too.
Yeah.
She used to, we're not going to say her name yet because maybe she's watching, and she used to say all the time, you really need to do a Facebook Live with me. You really need to do a Facebook Live with me. And I would go, no, I don't think so.
Nope.
What did you tell her?
The same thing. Absolutely not. Nope.
Okay, so Misty Beards.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Misty Beards, we are both here. We want you to know we did it.
Yes.
So,
and we're doing it
every week. Every week. So, yeah. So we wanted to dedicate today to her.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, so back to writer's block. So we've kind of talked a little bit about history, but how long did it take to really come to fruition? Like, wasn't it like 100 years that the psychology, and then because you were talking about when the author talked about having writer's block, and then 100 years later, we had a psychologist.
Yes, the kind of
who said that's 100 years.
Yeah.
So, which tells me that if the issue endured for 100 years and it went through the field of psychology, it's real. It's real. Okay.
Well, some people believe it's real, but others are going to say it's all in your head.
Right.
It's all in your head.
So Tom Clancy absolutely refused to talk about writer's block. He said, I don't allow that word. It doesn't happen. And then Toni Morrison, I actually read an interview with her about writer's block, and she said, and I quote, I disavow those words. So she was pretty adamant that she was basically divorcing herself from the possibility that she would ever, could ever, would ever have writer's block, which I respect. So it's like, it's that no excuses concept. Like, I'm just not going to accept that.
Right.
So what causes your writer's block?
I'm going to say really distractions and time.
That's
like
me.
That, you have life going on. I mean, I'm a mother of 4. You're a mother of 4. I mean, you really have a lot going on. We are, serving, our clients and working a full-time job plus some. And then of course, just the everyday, hustle and bustle, bills.
Right. So just in case we have new people watching before, we literally have 8 children between us, ranging from ages 4 to 22.
Yes.
So there's not too much we haven't experienced in childhood.
And what I haven't experienced yet, I get to learn from her ahead of time. So,
and what she gets to experience, I get to go, wow, I'm so glad I'm done with that. So, okay. So I'm with you. Time, press, stressor, distractions, there's always laundry to be done. There is always a dish to wash. There's always a yard to mow. There's, there's something.
Absolutely.
There's something. But that's not the only thing.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Some people get really, really stressed.
Yeah.
They really major stress about writing. And I think a lot of that stems from fear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With you saying fear, talk about it being stemmed from fear, but what would be some of those reasons that would associate with fear?
Well, I think that writers get afraid that the public will not like what they've written. That there's the fear of rejection.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're already published and you have an audience, there's the fear that I can't write anymore. I can't, I'm not going to be able to do what I did before. That's a really big deal.
It's kind of like, even like with a movie, like when you have a sequel, like the first one's great, the second one might flop. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. When Star Wars came out,
I'm not Star Wars.
She's not a Star Wars fan. Y'all, this will be our last episode. So sorry that you cannot see us in the future, but I don't think I can be a co-star with someone who doesn't like Star Wars.
I couldn't name one character, I promise.
You can't name R2D2?
I cannot.
CP3O?
Nope, none of it. None of it.
Okay. Y'all, I might need therapy. Okay. So anyway, the point is that when that movie came out, we can talk about another movie.
Okay.
Would you like to talk about a different series? Medea?
Sure. Oh, well, yeah, but I like all of those. Even
Okay. All right. But when the very first Medea movie, y'all see how I transition? I'm just good like that.
Diverse.
So when the very first Medea movie came out, that was the only one that had ever come out. So everybody loved it. But after that, you had something to compare it to. And that's the same issue with writers, I think, is they know that they've been successful one time, but then you have to be successful the second time. And
while we're at comparison, what about comparing themselves to others?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really good thought.
Yeah.
You compare yourselves to others.
Yes.
And you have to be yourself, just like you have to, I tell my youngest son all the time, his name is Asher, and he has 3 older siblings, and they're pretty much rock stars at who they are and what they're being and what they're doing. And so he had to follow in that. I'm like, stop. You don't have to be like your sister. You don't have to be like your brothers. Just be the best Asher you can be. Well, the same to you as writers. If your name is Johnson Hill, then Johnson Hill, you be the best Johnson Hill that you can be, because there's not another one like you. And that needs to be evident in your writing.
Yes.
I think a lot of writers suffer from lack of purpose.
Yes.
They lose sight of that.
Yes. Absolutely.
Do you ever, have you worked with an author that kind of lacked purpose?
Yes. I have definitely worked with multiple.
Totally set you up for that.
I have definitely worked with multiple authors that they get one idea in their head and then run with it, and then the next conversation you have with them, they have redone the outline and has a totally different concept. I actually have, and I will not name this author, I have one author that I think we have crafted and recrafted an outline 4 times. And the book still isn't done. Right. I don't even have a rough draft.
Right. And, there's something to be said for going back and tweaking and improving, but you got to get past that fear. You just have to write. You just have to get started. You can always go back and change a sentence. You can go back and recraft your position that you present information, but you have to get started.
Yeah,
I have to get started. I think foggy thoughts, like that happens to me sometimes.
Mom brain? Can we claim that to be mom brain?
We can claim mom brain. Yeah, I think the psychologists have researched that. Writer's block, aka mom brain.
Yes.
Yeah. So that happens. What is mom brain? How would you describe that?
Like, I will be thinking about one thing, and like we do all the time, we chase squirrels. So that's really what happens. It's like I'm in mid-sentence, and my kids tell me all the time that they get so irritated because I'll either ask a question or I will say something, and then seriously, 10 seconds later, I forget what I even said. It goes out the window.
Quit talking about me like that.
I know, right? Have you rubbed off on me in that area?
No. Okay. You get to own that one all by yourself. I think that happens when you get your first kid. But yeah, mom brain happens, but fogginess, it's just your daily responsibilities can add up. It can be dad brain too. And
no, they're perfect. You didn't know?
Oh yeah. Pop that bubble. Yeah, just get some of that off of you.
Right.
Lord help. So it's just the distractions. You get so much going on in your brain that it's hard to focus on what you're actually writing about.
Yes.
Okay. And then
can I coin that with something?
Of course you can.
Perfectionism. I want to tie that right after that, because what ends up happening is you have these authors that they want to get it right in their head first before they even put it on paper. And you can't do that. Perfectionism and procrastination go hand in hand, but a lot of people will tie it in. Well, I just want things done the right way. I just, I don't want to be subpar. When I submit it, I want it to be the best that it can be.
Right.
We don't want it to be the best it could be. That's job security. So
have you ever driven like a really nice car? Like a Ferrari or
I have not.
a Porsche or
No, I have not.
do you think you could?
Absolutely.
You
I may not drive
give
it
me-
well, but I can drive it.
Oh, you just totally blew my example out. So I had the opportunity one time to drive a Ferrari.
Of course you did.
It was fun. Okay, I didn't drive it very far, by the way, but I did it pretty well, and I was pretty proud of myself. But that doesn't mean I could design the Ferrari.
Oh, yeah, definitely not.
That's the whole point, is that you might be able to drive your book. You know what's in it. So do what you do well and let your editors, let us design the book. So write about what you know and let us design the book. That's what we're here for. Okay. So I would like.
You went from like a Star Wars
Star Wars
to Cars.
No,
like,
I put Medea in there too.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying from one extreme to the other. Like you are such a boy mom. Like
I am
such
a boy mom.
Like
you want to talk about hunting and fishing?
right.
I can talk about hunting and fishing too. Okay, so I also want to talk about lack of inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay, so some writers they have an idea, but then maybe they lack their inspiration. I think that happens sometimes more with like fiction books when you have a storyline and you're writing about something. You have to be inspired. Writers often call it the muse. Like, what is your muse? What are you writing about? And even songwriters, how many country and western movies have been written about somebody who basically lost their
Dog.
muse? No,
No.
not their dog. That dog's on the railroad tracks with their mama. Get it right.
Okay, sorry, I don't listen to country, but the last one I remember something about a dog, so just took me back.
Y'all help me. Y'all help me. She's messing up country music and she doesn't like Star Wars. Okay, so can't even. What were we talking about?
I have no idea. I'm talking about you're talking about the country music.
I was talking about inspiration.
Oh, inspiration.
There have been all these movies written about country and western singers who lost their muse.
Okay.
They lost their inspiration for writing songs.
Gotcha.
The same thing can happen when you're writing a book, y'all.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, we need to move on. What else you got to talk about?
Well, those are some of the reasons, but I want to just go in and just give some help and benefits of how to overcome it. Like, seriously, overcoming it.
Oh, I know.
Okay, tell me.
This is my favorite.
Okay, go ahead.
The getaway.
Getaway.
It's for when you have the block.
Mm.
The getaway. I know. I just, to me, I like to go to somewhere where I have no dishes, no laundry, no TV going in the background. I like to get, of course, you know me, I like to go to the mountains. I like to go to the woods.
Yes.
I like to go out.
Scenic view. You're inspired by.
I am. I'm inspired. That is my muses, the scenic view. But I like to go to a place where there's quiet, and I know that I can isolate myself and write because that's how I operate. And actually, Stephanie, I've worked with several authors lately that I've recommended that, and they're like, do I get to tell my husband that my editor said you have to go away by yourself in a hotel room for an entire weekend? And I'm like, yes,
that is a prescription.
Yes, that is my prescription
your
from
writer's
Dr.
therapist.
Charli.
Yes, the book therapist.
They're
yes.
like, thank you. They probably have mom brain too. But it really does help. And then after that, I get all kinds of feedback. Oh my gosh, I got this many chapters written, or I was really able to focus. I was really able to get away, But when you do that, you got to stay off social media.
Yeah.
You really got to cut yourself off.
Turn the notifications off.
Yeah. You don't need to be notified about anything.
Right.
You just need to let your book out. So
before we go into any more.
Can we take a writer's weekend soon?
Yeah, we need to. Need to take one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Before we talk about anything else, and the getaway is I really believe one of the number one ways to write, but like the number one, and this comes from the Darren M. Palmer version of overcoming writer's block. Are y'all ready for this? I mean, this can like end the show. We will be done. Guess what it is? Discipline. Eliminate excuses. That's all you got to do. Eliminate excuses and create the discipline. And that's because that's what he's going to tell you. Just get it done and start somewhere. Just start.
And that can be discipline in a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
So, and that is very true. That is it. The world is not going to create a massive sinkhole that will
Right.
suck in an entire continent if you have a few dishes in the sink.
Right. Yes. I don't know.
Man, I need to listen to myself.
I know,
That was
right?
really smart.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What else? Like, what would you say is a great solution for writer's block?
Accountability.
Okay.
I really think accountability is like what a lot of people lack when they have this idea. They may have shared it with one or two people, but they have no one that is dedicated to holding them accountable. Or even when they are, if they do go as far as to be held accountable, then they come up with reasons, excuses why they didn't do it each week. Why they didn't do it each week. And there is a difference, and I will, put this out there. There is a difference between reasons and excuses. There are clear excuses, and that may be for another show. But you not being able to write a paragraph from one week to the next, there is no excuse for that. Now, you not finishing an entire manuscript in a week, there's reasons behind that, but you can write something. So accountability is huge. You need to find someone who can hold you accountable. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just that simple.
I actually had a lady thank me yesterday.
Did you?
One of our authors. She said, "Thank you for the weekly phone call, holding my feet to the fire. You're never mad if I don't
Right.
finish something, but I know at a certain day and a certain time every week, you're going to call me."
Yes. Yeah. Well, can I go and just even say that? I mean, because that's great.
I
But-
love how she asked me permission. Like, this isn't
Yeah.
50% her
Right.
show.
So, no, while you're there, I want to say the author or the person who's writing, and I'm speaking to myself too, we are the only one in the way of the progress and the completion of the book. We're the only,
Yeah.
we are it. Like you.
You're your own
Yeah.
worst enemy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go back from that.
Back to solutions.
Back to solutions, because the problem is writer's block, or AKA the block. Now let's find what solutions could be beneficial. So let's go back to the positive.
Yeah. Like,
We're here to
okay,
hold
so
your
what about
hand.
mental realignment? We've talked about that a little bit. I mean, that is
Yeah.
something of a discipline, but you also, sometimes you just get that foggy brain and you have to go back. What am I doing this for? What is
Right.
my purpose?
Yeah.
Who is my audience?
Yes.
Go back and look at your outline,
Yes.
study it. What am I trying to communicate? What's driving me to do this?
Yes, absolutely. Remember
Um,
the why. Like, I mean, it really
it
it
is.
goes back
Remember
to that.
the why. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I have a least favorite.
Okay, what's your least
It's
favorite?
very effective, but it's my least favorite. It's exercise. But it works
Yeah.
because, guys, in order for your brain to think well, it has to have the right amount of oxygen. And if you've been sitting for hours and hours, then you need to get up and walk around and get that blood flowing and get oxygen
Yes.
to those brain cells, because it really will make a difference. It's the same. Sometimes I tell authors, it's you paint a wall, and when you're up this close to it and you're painting that wall and it's really close, it looks like one color yellow. And then you step back across the room and you're like, oh, that's
Yeah.
how yellow it is.
Yeah, good analogy.
Thanks. Do you paint walls much?
I do not. No,
I love to paint. It's another form of therapy.
do all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like handy stuff.
No,
No, I installed my own kitchen cabinets last weekend.
Yeah, no, I
Sure
will not be
did.
doing that. I know who to call if I need help.
I'll teach you.
You just do it for me, right? That's what.
Wow.
Just kidding.
I
will
don't
be
know.
willing
You
to put
don't
in the
like
work.
Star Wars.
I don't.
Okay. All right. So are there any other ways to get through writer's block?
Yes. And I want to kind of tie in too. So developing a writing routine and possibly creating goals of how many words you may want to write each day, and then challenge yourself to write more per day. So if I did 50 words today, I could do 150 tomorrow. And before you know it, I mean, the week has gone by and you have a chapter done. I mean,
yeah, and it really does work. We work with quite a few authors who are professionals and they're writing books for their field, and that's what they have to do. They set aside that time every day. I would also like to confess to everyone in social media land. We have to practice the same things we're telling you.
yes.
It's not like we come to you as the all-achieving,
Absolutely not.
We have to give ourselves the same pep talks. We have to remind each other of those particular processes. In fact, when we were talking about this morning, we literally talked about our own books that we are writing or want to write and why they're not written and what are we doing to change it,
yes.
and how are we going to how are we going to overcome that? Because we have to coach ourselves and we have
Absolutely.
to coach each other.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to think that we're coming to you as the all-achieving, all-knowing, although we achieve and know some things, but we haven't achieved and we don't know all.
Right.
So we have to tell ourselves that.
Yes.
So I looked up some famous authors.
Okay.
So they had some things to say about writer's block, because I wanted to know. It's like,
right.
okay,
Absolutely.
the people who've done it, like they've
Yeah.
really been in the trenches. So Maya Angelou,
Mhm.
okay, so famous poet, right?
Yes.
She
I
was
know her.
poet laureate, and she said, you just keep writing to push through.
That's good.
Like even if it hurts, you just keep writing, and eventually you'll get your flow back.
Yes.
Ray Bradbury. Okay, I don't know if you remember him. He
know.
wrote Fahrenheit 451.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
okay.
read that back in junior high, maybe.
Right, Fahrenheit 451, and it was also made into a movie. So, but I don't know that it's going to have a sequel. Anyway, he said, get out and do something that brings you joy. Like, get away from it all, step away, do something that triggers your brain to have happiness. And then when you come back, you can write better. We were talking a while ago, Ralph Ellison actually called it chronic procrastination. He wrote Invisible Man, and he refused to call it writer's block. There's several authors, like Tom Clancy even refused to talk about it, but he called it chronic procrastination.
To me, that is like really convicting. Like writer's block, it's kind of like you're giving the excuse of not writing, but when you
name it something.
Yeah, you name it something, but the chronic procrastination is putting it back in that you're responsible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that.
So Stephen King, in an interview one time, Stephen King said, when I was in college and I got writer's block, I'd drink beer and watch soaps.
That's one way to get inspiration.
I'm not sure how that's inspiring, but apparently it worked because he's very successful. Ernest Hemingway, his philosophy was a little bit different. So you know how you were talking about disciplining yourself,
yes,
and writing a little bit every day. Ernest Hemingway thought that the creative process for writing was similar to keeping money in a bank. Okay. And you don't want to spend all that money at one time. And so he said, hoard your writing. He said, dole it out only a little bit at a time. So don't go on a writing binge and just have this creative dump. Like just dole out a little bit of it on a regular basis, and then you'll never run dry, which I thought was an interesting. Hemingway wrote his whole life.
Right.
And so that's totally different from any other author that I read. Okay, this is going to be your absolute favorite because we talk about this all the time. And I know you know this author.
Yes.
Mark Twain. I know you know who Mark Twain is.
You have to tell me what he wrote. I don't know. name, but I mean, I know the name, but I don't know what he has written. Or it's not coming to
Huckleberry
me.
Finn,
I've never read that.
Tom Sawyer.
Okay, I know.
The
Yeah, I
Adventures
know.
of Tom
I know it, but
Sawyer
I
and
don't know
Huckleberry
it. You're
Finn.
taking me back to like junior high.
I have work to do, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pray for me. I need grace. I need grace. Give me grace.
I'll give you grace. So Mark Twain's philosophy was outline, outline, outline.
Amen.
Outline, outline, outline.
Yeah.
He said when you get writer's block, whether you're trying to start or whether you're trying to continue what you've done,
Yes.
you need to go back to the outline, 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 outline.
Yes.
So I'm sure his high school English teacher was very proud of
Yeah,
him.
right. And I consider even outline.
I don't even know if he went to high school. I can't remember. He might have quit school.
Surprised
Who
you don't know.
knows?
But no, even brain. I call it brain dump. Like just get everything out of your head onto paper. Get it, and if you've been typing on the computer, switch it up, write it out, go back. You can always insert it and put it in the computer, but just getting it out of your head is like huge because you have all these other ideas. And that's another issue that we have is because, most people have more than one book in them. Like it's not just a one and done type thing because those, especially when you get it done, when you get that first book done, you definitely want to do more.
It's like Milli Vanilli one hit wonder.
Yeah. But we have
I just
authors.
dated myself.
Yeah, I'm going to let you have that. But you have those that they go in one direction with one book and then they start trying to work on multiple projects at one time. And guess what happens? Neither one of them get done because you have too many irons in the fire and you're not fully following through with one book. So, get a brain dump. If you have other ideas that you want to incorporate, just write the ideas down, but make sure to revisit the other one or you'll end up with, 20 unfinished manuscripts and say, 10
It's
years
not very
later.
often we get a phone call that says, I guess I really need to write a book about that. I guess I'm going to have to. It's not like that. People write about things they're passionate about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they write about things they're good at. So,
And you can be good and passionate at more than one thing, but you need to focus on one book at a time.
Yeah, that is hard. I've been there. Had more than one book going. Yeah.
Do you feel convicted?
Epic fail. Shut up. Shut up right now. Okay. Do you have other wisdom to share on this topic?
Aside from even the goals, and I want to say something that I do with a goals component and not even just with goals with writing, even though that's where what we're talking about. I don't want to drop the ball more than 2 days in a row. So if you have a goal of 1,000 words a week, if you start writing on Monday, but then you got tied up and caught up in meetings and everything else and life happened on Tuesday, make sure that you revisit that goal on Wednesday. Don't go more than 2 days without doing something that is incorporated.
That's like a
with your goals.
paragraph a day.
Yeah.
That's literally.
And that's like so doable.
That's not very much.
Yeah.
I actually have trouble stopping at a paragraph a day. That it is very difficult for me.
Achiever. Go ahead.
Really?
I'm going to let you have it.
Man, I guess I am an overachiever.
Yeah.
I've watched more movies than Medea.
Hey, we're not going back. We are not going back there. We have moved past that.
Okay. If you say so. No, but I really do. I have problems writing more than one paragraph a day. If I'm going to sit down and write, I'm the kind of person I sit down and I'm going to shoot for at least a partial chapter or a whole chapter.
Look at you guys.
But that's just because once it starts, once I start, then it's really hard for me to turn it off. So,
well, okay, and this is not even on the notes, so we're off script here. But as an editor, do you find it easier helping someone else write their book as opposed to you writing your own? There's the question.
It is not necessarily easier for me to help someone else write their book than it is for me to write my own. It is easier for me to coach them on how to find time to do it and how to incorporate it into their life than it is for me to do it for myself.
Good answer. Good answer.
Well, I tried.
And I will say for me on that end, like I do have all these book ideas and I have all these things that I want to write and I believe that they are great ideas, but I really am inspired and passionate about helping others get their story out.
Yeah.
So then I put
I
put other people and their books before me. So
because I am too.
Yeah.
That is, guys,
Yes.
we absolutely
absolutely
love
yes.
to help pull those stories out of people.
Yes.
Because just this morning, working with a new author, she has a great outline, a very interesting topic, and not a topic we see very often. And she had a great outline, but I walked her through that framework. And this is where you need to plug in everything that's between your two ears, because you are an expert in this area and you need to get it on the paper. But just having that framework was so intensely helpful to her because she was very inspired. Okay, to her, that was the hard part.
Yeah.
She already knows the knowledge. So I love that part. I love to,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so we can kind of tie everything together. Another thing that I really believe is beneficial, as, self-proclaimed book therapists, we definitely want to
self-proclaimed.
So yeah, we'll work on that title in a bit. But really working on, if you are experiencing writer's block, if you have a manuscript, you know that you want to write a book, you want to get it done, but you just haven't, whether it be the procrastination, the distractions, whatever that looks like for you, really hone in and focus on identifying your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to writing. There's sometimes, it could be daunting.
That's
a
right.
blank screen is like one of the most intimidating things for a writer, like and a potential author, aspiring author. A blank screen is. So really hone in on what your strengths are in writing. Are you better at describing things? Are you better at timeline? Whatever that looks like. And then, think about the weaknesses, the weakness of not, carving out the time per day, not doing this, and really hone in on your strengths, but then also choose a weakness to work on each week, whether it be if timing is your thing, that's a weakness for you, then, this upcoming week, say, hey, this is a weakness for me, and then I'm going to work on this,
Right.
So I think that's very beneficial. And then, and I want Dr. Charli over here to kind of tie in, is look for the root cause of what is, not allowing you to get the manuscript done. So, ask yourself the hard questions. Why am I not completing this book? And
that's Stephanie, that's the great part. You do not have to have a book finished in order to call us.
Absolutely.
You can just have the idea for the book. We recently had an author contact us. Great idea for a book. Her cover's getting done right now. She's finally finished her manuscript. She knew that she would never get it done on her own. So for 10 weeks, I met with her, called her the same time every week, and she had finalized a chapter. She knew that I would expect one chapter a week, and in 10 weeks, her book was done.
Wow.
It was done.
Y'all.
It's done. And now it's already going into the editing process, and within a couple of months, she's going to be on shelves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just going into that process.
Yes.
and just allow us to help you.
Yes.
That's what we live for.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, okay.
I
think I need to watch Star Wars in the office the rest of the day.
No, you do not. No.
I think you need to get it vicariously.
We don't need
just by
theme
listening.
music, none of that. No.
Oh, yes.
No.
Theme music.
No.
I'm
I'm gonna let you have that. No.
Just saying.
That's such a great melody. Okay. Anyways, back to the writer's block. Always remember, tomorrow is a new writing day. If you don't get it done today, you can do it tomorrow.
But don't wait till next week.
Don't wait till next week. Don't do that. And again, like we shared with you, if there are topics, ideas, anything, any questions that you have, you can definitely reach out to us. We would love to answer any questions, set up a strategy call or just a consultation so that you can learn more about the process and what you can do to overcome.
Right.
Or
you might know somebody.
Yes.
You might know somebody that you really believe has a book, or you've heard them talk about it. Like us, share us, tag us,
love us, we need hearts.
We need hearts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love us.
Yeah.
And just send us questions. If you have questions, we would love to respond to those. You can send those to selfpublishin30days@gmail.com.
Yes.
Or you can contact us through Facebook, social media, Instagram.
Yes. Drop your email in the comments, whatever that looks like. We will definitely love to connect. Yes.
Okay. Well, this has been Writer's Therapy with Dr. Charli, the Book Mama.
And Stephanie Palmer, the Grammar Queen.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.